Introducing the Poet Life Podcast. Go check it out today on your favorite platforms, including iTunes, Apple Music, and the website, thepoetlife.com.
Find a way, find a way.
Hey, it's Christoph Wrights of the Poet Life Podcast. I am extremely excited on tonight to have two special persons on the podcast, Miss Sani Cisse and Mr. Patrick Washington. I am so listen, when I explain to you why this particular episode is happening, you're going to say, man, this is absolutely amazing. The youth are taking over. So let's get this thing started. Miss Cisse, how are you?
I'm doing excellent. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm glad that you had the time to come on. Mr. Patrick Washington, how are you?
I am blessed, very happy to be with you. It was wonderful to be part of the Poet Life.
Indeed. Yes, most definitely. So the reason why this podcast episode is happening, because something amazing just happened recently. Miss Sani Cisse, she just won the what year is this? Is it annual?
Yeah.
This is an annual contest, and
she is. How many years has it been?
6. She is the 6th.
She's the 6th winner to become the Youth Poet Laureate of Prince George's County in Maryland. Wow. That is absolutely amazing. How do you feel?
I'm honestly still taking it in. It's been surprising, but like a welcome surprise and a blessing, really.
Indeed. It just happened, right? Like a few days ago?
Yeah.
Tuesday or Monday? What was it?
Sunday.
Sunday. Yeah. And I was there on Zoom. You know, it's COVID now, so everything is on Zoom now. And what was the process like, Sani? What was the process like?
So there's a 3-step process to becoming a poet laureate or ambassador. First, you have to submit 5 of your best poems, and then also a bio. And Patrick, he looks for like civic engagement and like being involved in your community, as well as like artistic achievement. And then it's like a point system. So you take points from that. And then the second process is an interview, and they kind of ask different questions about your work and your art and like what you hope to do to create change with your poetry and just like what your art means to you. And then that's another point system. And then finally is the performance, which is what you saw on Sunday. And then
Wow. Have you been a part of anything like this before?
No. No, it's nothing like it.
And you're 19?
Yes.
Woo, that's some work right there. Patrick, you putting teenagers through work like that?
Hey, look. As you well know, these aren't your average everyday teens.
I see.
We're looking for not just great artists, but great people. We want people who can exhibit, care for their community, civic engagement, just real, hands-on type, artists, because, our program is, it's a leadership program, but it's leadership through the arts. We believe that our art is what's going to save us. It's going to connect us, and we're going to make sure that comes out.
Man, you and I think alike. I think, in my own humble opinion, I think creativity and art is right up there or even higher than intellect. It's a strong statement, but if you think about the people that you admire and place in a position of role model, a lot of times it is someone that is creative. sometimes you got someone that's a doctor and a lawyer, but most times it's someone that inspires you in a creative way,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that the idea of separating intellect from creativity is a we're doing ourselves a disservice by even doing that, because they are one and the same. I had a poem even stressing that physicality, you know what I mean? Hand-eye coordination, having your brain wired in such a way as that you can control your muscles in your body in a way that many people can't. That is intelligence in itself. It's just a different type. So I think that we have to kind of remix what we call intelligence.
I like that perspective. That's good. Saini, out of the 5, what was the one that out of the 5 poems, what's the one poem that was your final final poem that you performed with?
So during the performance, we had one to be judged, and then we had another one just to include. So I did 2 poems. One was titled An Apology Letter to My Body, and the second poem that I performed that night was Water.
Wow. Yeah. I wanted to ask you about the poems that you performed because they were so deep, and I told you I started writing poetry when I was in the 1st grade, and my mother was always astounded by, how deep my poems were. Where do you get your insight from? Is it reading books? Is it where do you get your insight from when it comes to where you get your inspiration when you write your poetry?
I think really my experiences inform my work more than anything. I really do like to educate myself and read into different topics, but a lot of times, especially like when it comes to like activism and theory and all that, I find that those concepts already are working and applying in my life. So more than anything, I inform my own work.
Awesome. Listen, we have another person on to the podcast episode, Mr. Adams, Mr. Neville Adams. How are you, sir? Lyrical Storm.
Hey, how are you?
Man, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. We really appreciate your time.
All right, thank you for having me.
Patrick, tell me what the dynamics are between you two gentlemen here.
We are partners in this venture. We kind of started off working as teaching artists, working in different sectors. I worked the south part. I live and work in the south part of Prince George's County. Neville worked and lived in the northern part. He's a 12th grade English teacher at Parkdale High School. And he is, for years, even before I started as a teaching artist, he had created a reputation as a youth leader, as a mentor, and Lyrical Storm is the name of the crew, and they were vicious. Like I used to come out and watch these young poets, and and of course it was a rotating cast because kids are moving out and graduating and whatnot, but always he was at the forefront. And when I had the idea to create this position, because there was no such thing as a laureate, adult or youth, in Prince George's County at the time, I reached out to him, and we sat down at a Starbucks and we kind of like hammered it out, and this is what we came up with. So.
Wow. Okay. Now you're taking me somewhere now. All right. So you knew of a poet laureate, obviously, right? Right. That's. Explain to me, Neville, what a poet laureate is.
It's classified as the official poet, the one that represents maybe a particular area and normally, the one that just the official person that speaks for, for the country or for the state or for the county.
The resident poet. Got
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. No. We just season 2. I think episode 2. We had Kaniki Jakarta, the first female African American poet laureate of
Alexandria, Virginia.
Alexandria, Virginia. Yes.
That's the homie.
And then just recently, our season 2, episode 1, Roscoe Burnham's, he just won poet laureate of Richmond, Virginia.
Yes, very happy for that brother.
Yeah. And that's big because the poet laureate for traditionally was always someone that was white. And it was for the longest time you wouldn't get any spoken word artists that would be laureate, because that separation between the ones who would be like the learned poets,
right,
as opposed to the performance
it was
poets.
The poem. Yeah,
right. The literary, the word is literary, the literary poets.
Okay,
the ones with all the gravitas, they hold the poem and they go,
right. Wear those funny caps,
right. And look, speaking of poet laureate, when President Barack Obama won the first time, and he had his poet. And I was like, man, if that was a spoken word artist, oh my goodness, that would have been church in there, man.
Who was that? Who was his
I
first?
Can't remember. It was a I want to be politically correct, right? Nationality wise, I think it was an Asian guy.
Okay.
I can't remember.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, that was about 12 years ago. I can't remember, man.
But that was the first time that there was ever a national poet laureate, right? Is that or no?
I don't think so.
I don't
think he was a poet laureate though. I think he was just
I think
he
was just a poet, right. Somebody that they
the presidential poet, right?
Right. Exactly.
Right.
His resume looks good right now. But Saini, I'm glad you were able to work some things out with your camera.
My phone is overheating, so it's like.
Oh, I understand. All is well. We'll work it out. So you are in an awesome place, an awesome position right now. Are you nervous? What are your feelings right now? Because you'll be in that position. How long? A year?
Yes, a year.
Okay. So how do you feel?
I feel pressure, but it's like a good pressure.
Indeed.
I'm thinking about like how I want to fill the role, but I also want to try to expand it and like leave the position in a better place than it was when I took it, and like get more people to be interested and to find out about what this program is and what we do, because I think it's really important. And I'm just kind of thinking about like the things that I could make possible with having this position, and like kind of how that puts me in more of a position of power than I've had before, in like the ways that I can use that.
Yeah, definitely. Some positive power, some positive influence, and I'm sure your peers see you. I'm sure they saw you in a positive light before, but like now it's just like, wow, this is the first. Wait, this is the first one? Is she the first?
No.
Oh, right. Six years. Okay, 6 years. Gotcha. So Patrick, so you all were partnering with PG County for 6 years now?
We partner with multiple organizations. Most recently, the Prince George's County Office of Community Relations has been our main partner.
Okay.
We found a great supporter in Unisha Davis and Nicole Jackson Young. Those are the two main people who have just kind of, held us up, offered resources, understanding the struggle that we're going through, trying to keep, this thing afloat.
Sure.
Yeah. So them, the Prince George's Arts and Humanities Council. That's a great nonprofit that's been assisting us, and Extreme Teams, Prince George's Extreme Teams.
Yeah, through parking planning. Mm-hmm.
Man. Okay. All right. So I was saying before we started this, I was telling Patrick Neville that we're going to have separate episodes, one for Patrick, one for you as well. So let me, because you all are giving me so much right now, man. My brain is exploding right now because I say that because I love how you all think big when it comes to poetry and the partnerships and the sponsorships and things of that nature, right? So I want to dig deeper into that when we get to you all's episode. But Saini, you have a strong team. So whatever nervousness or anxiety that you have or pressure, like you have two vets over here that got your back and are able to shine some light on some things that you may not know about. Do you have some events planned or projects in your mind that you think that you might want to make happen this year?
Yes, I have a couple of things that I plan on doing. One of those things includes trying to create a youth slam that's PG county wide for like all of the high schools, because that was a experience that was really important to me. I did like LTAB and other like local slams, like DMV area slams. So that's something that I want to bring back to PG and have other people experience, because that's kind of what helped me to really fall in love with poetry and specifically spoken word. And I want other people to like experience that.
Really? How old were you when you first fell in love with spoken word?
So I started writing really when I was in middle school, but the first time I like performed a poem in front of people, it was at my high school's school poetry slam in the school library freshman year.
Wow. Wow. You've come a long way, 3-4
I was gonna
years.
say, yeah, that's a far cry.
Yeah.
Man,
For sure.
you've been working. That's awesome. Do you have a core group of friends that are also spoken word artists like that push you and you all kind of in a friendship type of way kind of compete to say, I'm going to perform here, I'm going to perform there, you should perform here? What does that look like for you?
Really like the poets who have come out of Roosevelt, I like to touch base with. Some have like still do poetry, some have fell out of poetry, but like they usually come back in for like open mics and stuff. And that's also something like I'm gonna start bugging them a little bit more, especially now as Poet Laureate when I'm like hosting things. But yeah, everybody kind of has like their different lanes, but I've met a lot of poets out of my school and just from the local area going to different poetry slams and things, and we kind of keep up with each other and check in with each other about like our work and what we do.
Sure,
So that's
sure. I would encourage you to stay connected with those other contestants, right, from the other areas of PG County, right? Like, Dayon and what was the other? It was a gentleman.
Samar.
Yes, man,
Yeah.
he's strong, and he threw some he threw some song in it. He had confidence enough to sing with his poetry. That was awesome.
Let me just say that that's part of our mission is to create community.
Right.
My origin as an artist was working with like-minded poets, and then we created ensembles. We created poetry groups. I was in several different groups. So I'm very good with the back and forth. I mean, with when I'm performing, when I'm writing, I feed off of that energy. And I think Neville kind of does that too. He and we've done a couple of things in the past. We did a play together.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like to create that community with my poets. So that's why she's the laureate, but she's in a leadership role now, and her fellow contestants are now ambassadors. So they're all crew. They're all crew.
Yeah. And they all represent different parts of Prince George's County.
That's genius.
Yeah.
That's good. So you already have a team.
Yeah, for sure.
Got a squad.
Man, you all need to start a group me and continue to communicate, Yeah, most definitely. Awesome. I love it. All right. Okay. So in this position, right, comes these interviews or these conversations, because this is not an interview, it's just a conversation that we're having, but you'll have the interviews and things and articles. Is this your first conversation on camera for you?
Yeah, this is my first time really doing something like this, like a podcast. I had an interview earlier this week, and that was like my first official interview as well. Like I did the school newspaper one time, but that was a lot more like nonchalant. So
laid back,
it's right. A little bit different.
Awesome. Also, you're getting practice.
Yes.
Okay. Neville, did they have to apply or were they nominated?
They had to apply.
So, okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Great. So, Saini, what made you apply?
Actually, and I don't think you guys actually know this story, but when I was a poet freshman year, I went to this poetry competition known as the Hyper Bowl, and there the 2017 Poet Laureate was on the final stage, and I found out that they were the Poet Laureate of Prince George's County, and I always had in the back of my mind like, oh, that's something that I want to do, and it just so happened like my senior year, that's when things kind of finally lined up to where I could take it on and apply and do something like that.
Wow.
2017. I'm trying to. Who was that?
Samantha Jackson.
Oh, Samantha. Okay.
Okay. I'm like trying to figure out who's 2017's Laureate. Okay.
Yeah. And Hyper Bowl, that's through Virginia. That's through Joseph Green and them. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow, man. Okay. This is the first for me because I didn't know that there were youth poet laureates. To be honest with you, I just learned what a poet laureate was not too long ago when I had Kanika Jakarta on the podcast, and she had to explain to me what it was and what they do. And so when Dayon reached out and said she was a finalist, I said, "There's youth poet laureates? Oh my, this is amazing, man! It's a whole new world."
I think that we okay. So each jurisdiction has their own laureate. There's a lot of them popping up, and I guess they have their own meaning. They have their own motives for creating them. Mine was to strictly create opportunities for the youth poets and the best way to do that was to create an official sounding moniker. You know what I mean? Sure. So to lend an air of right, yeah, lend an air of officialness to your poetry, because a lot of times people as poets will show up someplace, might get a t-shirt and a sandwich, and then we're kicked out the door.
Exactly.
But our work is more valuable than that.
Right. I'm glad you said that, Patrick, because our mission and our motto is to uplift the poetry community, but also to build the poetry industry. Right. We always hear the poetry community, right? But we hardly ever hear poetry industry, right? So the poetry industry is in its infancy. And what you all have done and what you all are doing is helping to build the poetry industry, because like you said, you're creating official positions and official platforms. And that's where the industry comes in, where Saini will be able to now be in certain rooms because of her position, right? So with that position and that the position of influence, she's now able to express herself and represent her peers now. But without that position, she probably wouldn't. So the exposure that you all are creating is just uplifting both the community and the industry, man. So I'm excited to even know that there's a youth component to the Poet Laureate.
Yeah, and there's certain issues and community and political topics that we don't expect to hear from our poets, especially our young poets. I remember like one of the first poems, or one of the most shocking poems that I heard in a while. Saini did this piece that was the mental health piece. Remember the mental health piece?
Oh yeah.
Yo, yeah, and like I was. And it was a very in your face, bold, uncompromising poem. And it was just like, do you need help? It was like it was almost like she was grabbing somebody by the shoulders and shaking you in your seat. And that it was needed. That's the type of art that we're looking for. Stuff that challenges you.
So what is she going to be faced with in this position, Neville?
So she will be faced with, well, being a voice for teens, definitely, for young adults, being that person who gets called on for events, especially formal events, and they will look upon her as the voice of all of the teams, in Prince George's County. So it's something that with it comes an air of responsibility with what you're going to be saying, and the fact that you need to be cued in to your peers because you're going to be representing them.
Nice.
And there's going to be some things that you want to bring up that you'll have a position where it'll even be it's even a semi-political position as well, because there's a extreme push internationally, and we've been doing it a lot in Prince George's County, of lowering the voting age to 16. Hyattsville was the first place to do it. Greenbelt just did it, right.
What?
Yeah, we're working on a couple of other places. We're going a little bit piece by piece. Yeah. Hyattsville was the third person in the United States to do it. Yes.
Like vote.
Yes, they can vote. They vote for all the local elections. They can't vote for, of course, the state, the country, but they can vote for all the local elections. Yeah.
Right. Now, what's the rationale behind that? Is because they're being affected by what's happening locally?
Exactly. And in the school system at 16, there's a lot of things you can do. You can get kicked out of school. You can be rejected from school at 16. So if you're set out of school, that means you got to go get a job or something. So you have to be able to work. So if you can work, you can active citizen. If you can work and pay taxes, you're an active citizen, and you should have some kind of say in the matter.
Wow. Okay, so Saini, how are you feeling about all this? This is heavy. You are getting a crash course in like real life, and this will definitely set you apart, and just really catapult your vision and your perspective on life, right? Well, it's just happened Sunday. It hasn't even been a week. So I know it's just like a lot and it's surreal. But I'm very hopeful and confident that you have what it takes. When I saw you perform on Sunday, I was like, she literally turned into the poem. You know, it was like all right. So how long have you had that? You know, that piece of artistry, that performance factor. Because you know, when you first start, you're just, you know, I got a poem that I want to recite. You know, you recite your poem, right? But when did you start performing though?
Okay, so my first little like transition into trying to like breathe more life into my poems and kind of listen to how my poems wanted to be delivered um, came from my poetry club actually. Um, my first poetry club captain, her name is Olu. She's an amazing poet. I've been trying to get her to come to open mics because she's been like really busy with school and stuff, but she's who like really showed me how alive a poem can become. And from there, like being under her influence in like the poetry club, and then also I think I've improved a lot in how I deliver things through being a dialect poet. I was a poetry ambassador last year, and you guys have really just helped me to really think about how I'm saying my poems and how I deliver them. Over the summer, I was in the Brave New Voices competition, and pages really helped us to smooth out our poems and think about how we want to say them, how we want to sound, and just going back into that space of remembering.
That's pages.
Okay, it's like going back into that space of remembering while we wrote it. And also, I have to give credit to Ephraim Nehemiah. He hosted a World Tour Poetry Club over this quarantine with Do More, and he is like a firehouse, really. Like the way that his poems just come to life. So I think I also picked up a little bit more of that too, and like how I want to deliver things. So it's like a mix of all these people along the way who have really just helped me to elevate how I do my poetry and how it performs.
How quickly do you write, and how quickly do you commit to memory? What's your skill set on that level?
Okay, writing, I never know how long the process is going to take. Sometimes the majority of the poem and the concept is done in like an hour or two, and sometimes it just takes like days for me to really figure out how I want to structure things and how I want to say them. So I never really know how long it's going to take for me to finish a poem. Recently, I've been like writing a lot more and like having a little bit of a faster turnover, but I really don't know how long. And then there's also things that are poems that I want to write about, but it's like I'm still in the process of taking things in and just really processing my emotions. And that's also part of the process. So it's like all of those things that kind of come together before a poem comes onto the page.
Yeah, yeah. When you saw the list of ambassadors or finalists, Patrick, what were your thoughts in knowing that one of those 6 or 7 or 8 would be the actual Youth Poet Laureate? Did you feel like you had a solid, you know, whoever wins is going to be perfect for the role?
I don't want to slice her up. But you know, yeah, I knew early. I knew early when I was going through the applications. You know, we had about 30 applicants, and you know, from across the county, and yeah, hers immediately stood out. I mean, she was given, you know, last year's Laureate a run for their money, so I knew that. Yeah, it was. I knew it was gonna be her.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, when she performed, I was like, okay, she's been here before. Okay. Okay. Yeah, this is a little veteran-ish, that she has going on here, man. So and I can't wait to be able to for that to be somewhere out there, on the internet, and letting that get some shine and get some views, because what was the name of that finals piece, the one that was judged?
I called it Apology Letter to My Body and Anyone Else Whose Love Has Been Constant. It's kind of long, but it also starts the poem. So yeah, sometimes I just say apology, but that's yeah.
That's the whole poem. Just say the title. You're done.
Neville, when you partnered with Patrick, where did you see this going? Did you see it getting this expansive?
Yeah. When we started out, we planned on partnering, like, I think 3 years prior to this. Like, because we kept meeting at, I think, LTAB. We would see each other and like, hey, we need to talk. And then we leave there and we got a million things going on. Next thing you know, we see each other next year at the same event. And it's like, man, we didn't talk, right? And then when we finally got to talking and sat down, we we came in with the idea of the need for it. Because that was the main thing, was the need and the community. And so we always looked at how far we could go. Mm-hmm. And we always push for to every time to even make it even better, to see how far, whenever we see things and we see either gaps in the system or things, or, well, you know what, we need this. Because we started, I know we had started by inviting like all of the mayors and all of the political people to come out. And then we started moving to and then although we had started and we had informed them about it, not a lot of people reached out in like the first couple of years. And so what we started doing is start going to them directly and saying, hey, look, we just elected this kid, because the ambassadors represent their cities. So everybody, so it's as if everyone in their city has their own youth poet laureate, and you have a youth poet laureate. You know what I mean? So you have at least, two main poets who can represent you whenever you need somebody, because, a lot of times they want to get the youth voice out and want to hear, want to hear what people have to say. And so, we envisioned it going as far as it can go. So
that's awesome.
And it's still growing.
Yeah. Well, we definitely want to partner with you, Saini, and both of you all, because we have the Poet Life Academy, where we have the youth aspect, the 5 through, well, just say K through 12, basically, and we teach kids how to use poetry and the arts to express themselves. Yeah, and right now we're at KIP DC. We're going into Dunbar, and we have a mentorship program called the King's Club, the Queen's Club. Yeah, right. So in the King's Club, it's all boys. Obviously, in the Queen's Club, it's all girls, and we're talking real life in there, and the activities and the conversations are inspired by poetry and just the arts in general, right? Because so many youth, and Saini, I'm sure you can relate, just have so much on their mind, especially now with COVID. I can't even imagine being a teenager during this time. I have 3 daughters, 5 and under, so I'm glad I don't have any teenagers right now, because I know you all want to get out of the house, because I want to get out the house, and I'm almost 40. So I know it's hard for parents to say, I know, you're in your high school years and you want to go see your friends, but COVID, and matter of fact, how has that been, Saini, this whole year?
It's been a lot of ups and downs. I lost my grandfather earlier this year to COVID, and I've had a
Oh,
couple of like health scares. I was a graduating senior, the class of 2020, so we missed out on like our prom and graduation and all of that type of thing. Um,
gee.
but I think a lot of blessings have also come out of quarantine for me personally. Being able to, log on virtually and go to different Zooms and events, I've been able to meet a lot of different people that I probably wouldn't have had the opportunity to meet otherwise. Um, yeah, I've been to like a lot of different open mics across like the US and internationally, and that's connected me to a lot of people. And also like on Instagram, like there's a whole like poetry community. I've also been able to like meet some like poets that I look up to that I may not have been able to
Mhm.
because of COVID and them like, having things canceled and then just showing
Right.
up at open mics and things. So um I think it's helped me to build a lot more community, especially in the poetry world, than I had before, that I'm like super, super grateful for.
Yeah, yeah, you have to see the silver lining in things. That's where you build your resiliency, especially when it comes to learning how to pivot, right? And that's what it sounds like you've learned how to do. Um, we spoke on this several times on this podcast that, like you said, COVID is a blessing in disguise for a lot of artists because a lot of local artists here or beyond can now become international artists because, like you said, because of Instagram and in other platforms, you can just jump right in there and network with artists in Africa and in Germany and wherever else. And so when all of this settles, now you have connects in those states, countries, continents, and if you do well and you take those opportunities on Instagram serious and really perform, then they know, okay, Saini is no joke. All right, we need to get her to feature when the world opens up.
Yeah.
So you literally can build your portfolio, your resume, through COVID.
Yeah. And there's also been like so much community that comes from that. Like just the emotional aspect. Like for
Mhm.
me, it's really comforting to be able to be around other poets and just share our stories and our work, and just like other poets speak to things that maybe you haven't like touched on yet or had the time to find words for, and just like being amazed at the work that other people do, and like just the amazingness of it all. I love to be in
Yeah,
community with
yeah.
other poets and take in art, so that has been such a blessing, and it's just been like coming from all different places and hearing from so many different people that I've really appreciated too.
Awesome. Patrick, do you all have set things in place for her to do? Or are you all three of you all brainstorming and getting her ideas and then figuring out what the calendar looks like for 2021?
Yeah, so there are certain excuse me, certain preset, things and events that we have. Prince George's Arts and Humanities has their Festival of Literary Arts
Mm,
every year. So like, where she has that set. As the Youth Poet Laureate, she is to participate in, well, the Library of Congress. Once they open up, but she would have been performing live there. I think it's going to happen virtually now, so
mhm,
that'll happen on Poetry Month. So though, there's certain big events that are preset, but aside from that, we've still yet to sit down. We're supposed to have actually a meeting tomorrow where we sit
mhm,
down, get into get into her head, find out what issues and things she wants to focus on. Is there
mhm.
initiative that we can assist her with? you know what I mean, and things like that. Find out, you know, what her timeline looks like, how much time she has, because she's obviously very busy. You know, so because our job is not to force her or push her. We just want to help her with whatever she wants to do.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. I was just wondering because I know, you know, the poet laureate, you know, he or she has their plans, but now with the youth poet laureate, and you all have been doing this for some time now, I would imagine there is already some default things in the works already, alongside with her ideas as well. So, saying you're currently a senior about to graduate, or you graduated already?
I graduated. I was class of 2020, so I
Gotcha.
started my freshman year of college.
Where?
PGCC, Prince George's Community College.
Cool. Awesome. What are you studying?
That's my alma mater.
Oh, cool. I'm an art concentration, but it's like kind of a general studies, but with the concentration of art.
Okay. So within that concentration of art, is it all across the board art, or is there a specific form of art? Is it performance art, or
more like visual arts and like 2D type of art?
really?
Yeah, what comprises the art concentration. So I took like a sculpture class last semester.
Wow.
And I'm going to take a photography class this semester. So it's like all of those types of things.
Nice. That's exciting. I really push, especially students to go at least a minor, at the very least, you know, to go into the arts, you know, if they have that that passion for it, you know, don't be afraid, because a lot of times our parents will push us to go get that, you know, whatever engineering degree, and that's cool for sure, you know, but at the very least, still have that desire and that push to get further education in the art that you want to pursue. So I applaud you for pursuing your artistic abilities for sure. Johnson C. Smith, is that you, Mr. Adams over there? Is that your alma mater?
No, that's not
okay.
me. That's my girlfriend. She's a teacher. Look, she's a teacher too. I'm in her office right now because my office is playing in the background.
Wait, so you said your girlfriend or your wife?
My girlfriend.
Your girlfriend both are educators?
Yes. Yep. She's middle school and I'm high school.
Wow, the conversations you all have.
Oh my God.
Jeez.
All day, every day. Like, because this
parent said to me.
Yes.
Wow. Sani, what are your parents saying?
Well, they're very proud. I remember in the previous question you asked me, you were talking about like youth and encouraging them to go into the arts. It actually took them a little bit to come around.
I'm sure.
And it also took me some time to really like stand in and claim that I am an artist and this is something that I care about and want to do, because it was always kind of like the conversation of like, are you going to be able to make something of yourself? Like maybe you should try to do something more practical. But as they're seeing like how serious I'm taking it and just like the opportunities that open up, they're like becoming more encouraging of it.
So I would imagine you becoming poet laureate has kind of fortified and helped them in their resolve, if you will. Yeah. Now you have a position that speaks to you having the desire to pursue art.
Yes.
That's awesome. I'm glad you brought that up because, you know, I forgot about the parent piece. Most parents, you know, they want you to, yeah, I understand. I know you love your art, but let's go get that degree and whatever else, you know, let's go get that salary. That's awesome, man. I'm really excited about this because again, I just didn't know. I just knew within the year about an actual poet laureate, and just to know that there's a youth poet laureate to where exposure is being, presented to you. This is going to be an awesome year for you, Saini. Like, and I'm excited for you, and I'll definitely be following you. And just know that the Poet Life for sure. We're here to assist Patrick and Neville. We definitely got to talk and see where we can partner and make some things happen, because we're in the process of making some things happen as it relates to some youth projects and events as well. So hey, let's all have a conversation. Let's see if we can make something happen.
I would love that. Definitely.
Indeed.
Definitely. I want to keep these young poets busy.
Yes, for sure. Neville, I've been meaning to connect with you for a while, man, because I keep hearing your name, man. I keep hearing your name on social media, and I'm like, who is this Neville guy, man? How long have you been in the game, man?
Well, I've been teaching for 25 years. So wow. I started with I didn't start with poetry until like maybe probably my junior year of undergrad. That was the first poem that I wrote. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Where's undergrad?
Yep.
Where's undergrad?
UDC.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Yep. Okay. Sweet. Well, listen. Thank you all for joining me on the Poet Life podcast. Saini, we really appreciate your fortitude, your confidence, because again, the confidence that you exude in your performance is just like, she's been doing this for years,
Thank you.
Indeed. So you're only going to get better with this pressure, right? Because pressure is a good thing. We already know what pressure does. It produces diamonds, right? So live in it, walk in it. And again, you have a strong team. I was on the Dialect website and I said, okay, all right, let me go to this about page. And then I see Patrick in his youth. I said, okay, he's performing. He's going for it. All right. So I need to get these two gentlemen on just to give some background information on how this all came about. And so thank you so much. I look forward to working with you all. Patrick, if you could leave something for the people, for the youth, what would you say?
Continue to be good listeners. I think that is one thing that a lot of people are lacking in, the ability to listen. As you can tell with Saini, she is a wonderful artist because she listens. She takes she takes different things from different people, from different art forms, and then she creates something new and fresh and something that is her. I think that artistically that is a boon, and I think that personally, in your personal life, you definitely need to be a good listener too. Otherwise, you're banging your head against the wall. So listen.
That's good. Listen. Neville, what are your thoughts, man? What would you leave for the people and the youth?
Study. No half stepping. I believe that whatever you're doing, you have to be the best at it. Be the best at what you're doing. Study. Make sure that you get it so that it's down pat. Stand up and speak out. For sure.
That's good. So we have listen, we have study. All right, Saini, what are your thoughts? What would you leave the people? What would you leave the youth?
Honestly, what I'm about to say might be a little bit cheesy, but like, follow your passion, because your passion unlocks your purpose. Like, what it is that you care about and what you want to do. So don't let other people tell you like that it's not possible. because you can make it possible. And because of the passion you have and the drive that you have, you're going to be able to make things open up in a way that somebody else might not be able to because they are not passionate about what it is that they want to do. So, yeah, follow your passions.
That's the truest statement. Your passion unlocks your purpose. God wouldn't give you a purpose without making you passionate about it. That's huge. Man, that's a great way to end this podcast. Again, Patrick, I'll connect with you. We're going to have a separate episode. Same with you, Neville. I want to dig into you all's past and your journey and your experience in the poet life. I'm sorry, in the poetry industry. And because folks, if you're watching and listening, if I go to their Instagram, look them up, Google them, and you'll know. Just that's all I'm going to say, and just wait for the upcoming episodes with these two gentlemen separately. Thank you so much, everybody watching, listening. Go to thepoetlife.com to check and see what other awesome things that we have going on. Check them out. Go to their Instagram pages. That's why we don't just have their names there. We have their Instagram handles there, so you can go follow them. They don't even have to say it. You can just go ahead. Well, we have listeners. So Dialect PG Poets is for Patrick Washington. Lyrical Storm with a Y and a K for Neville Adams. And then for Saney, it is SAINEYY_C. If you need to catch that again, just rewind. All right. So it's the Poet Life Podcast. Thank you all. Thank you all for listening and watching. We're out.
Introducing the Poet Life Podcast. Go check it out today on your favorite platforms, including iTunes, Apple Music, and the website, thepoetlife.com.
Find a way, find a way. Ain't got no time now. You in the way.